What is up, everybody? Happy Friday. Welcome back into the Nick Club Wrestling Happy Hour. I am your virtual bartender, Mr. Nick Teodoro. Joining me, as always, is my wife, my lovely tag team partner in life, Miss Nicole. Happy Friday. If you're new here, welcome in. Please be sure to subscribe and like in the comments below and let us know what you're thinking. We want everyone to enjoy a nice cocktail or whatever you want to drink, non-alcoholic, alcoholic, and some wrestling, and we're going to have some fun here on Friday. So, Nicole, it's been a week.
It's been a week. We're here. We're Friday. We made it. I crawled into this day, but we are here. We're talking wrestling. I have my signature cocktail, Tito's orange juice, cranberry juice, a little more orangey than usual. But Mr. Nick, what are you drinking over there?
My usual red wine for the evening. It has been a week. And where do we start? Well, I throw this out here. Last week, we kind of ventured into the all-elite wrestling world that we haven't really talked as much about in the last couple of shows, and staying hot with one of the things that they always tend to do with their surprises, but the least kept surprise in professional wrestling, one of the least worst kept secrets, I should say.
Least worse.
We open with Mercedes MONE, formerly known as Sasha Banks in WWE, has now signed and is officially all elite. She made her debut Wednesday evening on Dynamite. Well, Big Business, which everyone kind of assumed was going to be something to do with her.
It was in Boston. Boston's her hometown. That's where she's billed from. So Big Business in Boston. We can put it together like the Last Dance in Chicago was for Punk, like the worst kept secret. And obviously, I think Tony Khan makes it very, very obvious.
Oh, absolutely. And she's going to be a great acquisition for the women's division of AEW. But she comes out and cuts a promo. I actually didn't realize, I know she's going under the new moniker. Instead of the boss, she's the CEO now. She's the executive. She is graduated, if you will, to the CEO, which I didn't realize. And as she came out, again, the same cadence as the whole CM Punk. So everyone's going CEO. So it actually got over way more than I thought it would, than I even realized. And again, big miss, great on her for changing up the moniker or her alias, whatever you want to call it, or nickname. But big miss on WWE's part, regardless. So, I mean, same kind of idea and character, right? But she comes out, cuts a promo about how she loved and missed the wrestling world and appreciated all the support she's gotten over the last couple of years, basically since she left WWE, and done all her different ventures. And she's excited about, tearing it up in AEW. So, for me, a little underwhelming. But again, I didn't have high expectations for her to begin with AEW, and we've seen AEW drop the ball on a lot of this talent. But I'm hoping that Tony will really throw her into this women's division and really invest more, because now you're seeing it. Again, personally, I've told Nikki this. I was a little disappointed that she didn't go to WWE, because I see the built-in storyline of her and Jade Cargill as a perfect tag team and, connection. Like Jade's her heavy type situation. I would have loved that, but I get it. She probably went where the money was on that end.
That's what it was. I don't think there was rumors that there was talks with WWE, but she wanted to get paid. And because I think in WWE, Charlotte's the highest paid women's wrestler. And I think there's I can go down the whole diatribe of obviously men making more money in wrestling than women. And I think she got the big money contract. And I think that kind of opens the door for other female wrestlers to be asking for more money or getting to be paid on that level. But anywho, on her debut, I don't know, again, it was so obvious. We knew it was her coming out. She come out and did their babyface promo. To me, I like heel Sasha, heels her and Bailey in Brooklyn when she ripped off the Dusty thing and she threw it at Izzy, and that was like, I like heels Mercedes. Honestly, I don't think you can bring her in as a big heel yet. But it seems like what they're going with is she's probably gonna have a program with Willow, because that's the match she got injured in, and like she was supposed to win that belt, but she called the audible to have Willow win it because she knew she was hurt. And I think they didn't realize like the severity of her injury. They thought she'd kind of come back earlier than she did. And apparently she's been on the books with AEW for like 2 months. I think she signed in like December, but like Tony didn't want to debut her if she wouldn't be ready to wrestle. So I think that's smart on his part. Be like, hey, here she is. She's not going to wrestle for a couple months. But I think it looks like she's going into a program with Willow, which is good because I also didn't want to see her go straight into the title picture because I really like Timeless Tony Storm. I really like Deonna Purrazzo. I think they have obviously more mileage on that program. So I think Willow and maybe going after Julia Hart and maybe getting the TBS belt and then come back around to Women's Championship. Yeah. I can't wait to see her and Britt Baker. Again, I can't wait for Britt to be back. I love Britt.
Well, you know how I feel about Willow Nightingale. She just does nothing for me. She's very dull and boring. So, but
she comes out dancing and so happy.
But they, whatever. So yeah, I'm happy to go to sleep too. Anyway, but she puts me to sleep. She's literally boring. There's nothing about her that intrigues me. Like I just think she's just awful. Regardless, so this begs the question of the topic. Then I'm going to throw this out here to you, Nicole, and to our audience here. And I would love to hear, where does she rank? Like, she got a big pop, hometown pop. We remember the CM Punk pop. Where does she rank in the greatest AEW debuts of all time? And where would you put her?
Middly. There's definitely, which we'll get to, better ones. I think they probably had some, like, meh ones. I think she's in the middle. I think I'm ready to see her in the ring. I think she speaks more volumes in the ring than I love wrestling. I love Eddie Guerrero. I love Boston. Yeah, like I want to see her hit some people. To be honest, and maybe down the line they will turn her heel. I think she's better as a heel. But we'll see. But for me, she's middle.
So middle. So I would agree. I would tend to agree. But for you now and for our audience, what is the greatest? Greatest. I can't even talk this morning.
You're so
this
excited.
afternoon. So AEW's been around for a couple years now. They've had a lot of debuts. What is the greatest AEW debut of all time for you? Ladies first.
I'm gonna stand up for this one so you guys can see my shirt. It is Mother Flippin' Mr. Brody Lee, R.I.P. Rest in power. I loved him. I loved his debut. Well, I really loved him in WWE as Luke Harper, Wyatt family. I think when he had that little bit of run by himself with the IC belt, Chef's Kiss, should have kept that going, but Vince is like, let's see. So back in 2020, his debut was actually the first week of shutdown. The dark pandemic days. He was supposed to debut in Rochester, New York, which is his hometown, which would have been so cool. Apparently, Tony Khan asked him if he still wanted to go through with debuting, even though they were in pandemic, and he said yes. He wanted to get back. He wanted to get back to wrestling. So he was revealed to be the Exalted One for the Dark Order. Back then, it was just Evil Uno, Stu Grayson. They just got Alex Reynolds and John Silver. John Silver. I always wanted to say Silverton.
And they always had, what I remember about, I guess,
they had the mask and they had those creepy little guys come out.
Yeah, well, because they always had a million minions. What do they call them, minions or something? No.
I meant to do that. But everyone's kind of saying it was kind of floundering. Like when they came out and do a human throne for Evil Uno, people are like, what? They were getting panned. And then for months and months, Evil Uno was like, there's the Exalted One, there's the Exalted One, this is all for him, it's the Exalted One. And then Evil Uno was in the ring saying, we're doing this for the Exalted One. Christopher Daniels and Kazarian come out. Was like, oh, SCU, and that was a thing.
Oh yeah.
So they were feuding with the Dark Order. So Daniels comes out and he's cutting a promo on Evil Uno saying, like, stop talking. Like, you've been saying this for months. No one believes you. And then, like, cut to a promo package. And it's, like, all these weird little things. And then someone starts talking. And it's not Brody Lee's voice. They mix in other people's voices. There's a woman's voice. There's a little bit of Matt Hardy in there because the people thought the Exalted One was going to be Matt Hardy.
Oh yeah, because that was right before he. Yeah,
and then it leads into then it's Brody's voice, and then you see him in like the jacket. He has the hood on, and you just see like the beard, and I'm like, oh my god, is he finally here? Is he finally doing a thing? And then I wrote it down, so excuse me for looking at a sticky note. But he starts cutting a promo on Danielson, and he says, "You're not the first out of touch old man not to believe in me, but you'll be the last one, Chris. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Brody Lee, the Exalted One." And then it pans to them in the ring. And he hits Daniels with the big boot and then the discus clothesline, which is, he does so beautifully.
It is a phenomenal.
So beautifully. And then Excalibur on commentary, Chef's Kiss, also says, coming in like a big rig. And Big Rig was his nickname in Chikara. And it was just like all these little things. And it was just like, oh, he's here. He's going to do so good. He's going to wrestle. We're going to see him do so well. Like, I was over the moon for John Huber, Brody Lee to debut. That is my favorite. That's such a, I know there's other ones, and like Nick will talk about it, probably a better one, but this meant so much to me. I was such a huge fan, and to see him, like, he's free, because he got stuck in WWE for an extra 6 months. He asked for his release, and they're like, oh, because Vince McMahon's
What was nice about that whole storyline is that, like, it kind of brought you back, and everyone kind of, like, I feel like Impact tried to do it probably with a bunch of their storylines, like that dark group, like the Ministry ripoff of, like, you know. And what was nice is everyone thought about, like, who the Exalted One was going to be, and like this whole like reveal, and like the tweets and memes leading up to it was like the Vince McMahon stuff that brings you back, which is nice, like that nostalgia that you like. And the irony in it is that Christopher Daniels was the one who got attacked at the end and was the focal point of the debut. And you know, if you look back, the rumor has it that before Vince McMahon, that Christopher Daniels was supposed to be the higher power for WWE. So it's just kind of 20 years later, full circle type stuff.
But again, he went on his vignettes when he was in the suit and he's like, "Daddy eats first," and then he yelled at, I think, Silver for sneezing, and then all this stuff on being the elite. He was so funny. You just see them trying not to breathe because he's just so in character and like just like screaming in their faces. When they were trying to get Jungle Boy to join the Dark Order, and they got Griff Garrison, and just like, this is Griff Garrison, and he was just so amazing and taken away from us so soon. And I feel like, again, the dog collar match with Cody, like, honestly, I know we're getting away from his like debuts and stuff, but it's such a place in my heart. I love him. I miss him.
I know, and it's crazy, and it makes you feel for Eric Redbeard, who was close friends with him and Bray Wyatt, and he just lost like two of his best friends, you know, back to back year. Well, not back to back years, but within a couple of years of each other. So it's tough.
Yeah, it was 2020 and 2023.
Well, this past year, so 2020, yeah.
Yeah, because it was 2020. It was the day after Christmas. I literally saw that Amanda, or his wife Amanda, who works at AEW, tweeted, and then everyone, I was literally in bed reading all these, like, hysterical. Like, I feel like I woke you up, and I was like, bro, he's dead. Like, bawling. Taken too soon. I think it's amazing. I can go on forever, but let's go to yours.
Yeah. So, for me, when I think of AEW, I think of, like, right, the revolution that started, right? Because you finally have a competitor to WWE. Alternative, whatever you want to call it. Competitor, I don't know. Potato to me. But point is, the big transitions to me were when they started getting real legitimate talent, right? You start to see, you know, Pac came in and some ex-namers, Pac formerly, what was he called in WWE then?
Adrian Neville.
Oh yeah, Neville, just Neville.
Just on Neville. The Neville level.
So they're starting to get some really, you know, notable talent, even the guys that would come in short periods of time, like even like Trent Barretta is known, and for a new company that's still, you know, starting up is good. But for me, the big transition for them and what put them on the map has to be the debut of Jon Moxley. He came in, comes through the crowd, very Shield-esque. He was cutting promos and putting out videos prior to that about, unscripted violence. I know Nikki's got a t-shirt, I think.
I have several.
A number of Mox t-shirts. And he came in, it was Jericho's match. Who was Jericho? I just remember
Kenny Omega.
I was going to say Kenny. Well, he attacked them both. He gave them both the paradigm shift now. It was called Dirty Deeds formerly in WWE.
It's the Death Rider in New Japan.
I guess he's got a different name everywhere, but for it. But just seeing him come in, he was a free agent, and you didn't really know. And then he started doing that stuff where he was on the indies, just bouncing around. It might have even started before then. And you just didn't know where he would show up. And sometimes when you have a guy who's a former champion in WWE, they bring that star power wherever they go. And he was a guy who was still pretty white hot, and everyone really liked him as Ambrose in WWE, and even on the indies he was well known. So him coming back to the character that he wanted to be, he said he wanted to do a lot of death matches and being just literally just unhinged, hard, I would say a hardcore type wrestler. He would have been perfect, like an ECW champion type guy. Yeah. And him come in and basically put his stamp on the company, because Jericho was already there. Omega was, one of the best wrestlers in the world at the time, but still getting, I would argue, United States exposure. He comes in and just legitimizes the company and just complete, hate to use the pun, but a complete paradigm shift for the company. So that was, to me, the greatest.
This is one of my favorites too, but I wanted to talk about both of them. But when he, hit Kenny on those big stack of coins for Double or Nothing, and just look at his face, and he's just screaming, you're just Mox is out. He was doing those vignettes, and he was literally, and it's still his Tron, the barbed wire, he was breaking out of jail, and he was just knew the creative in WWE was terrible, knew when that one promo he had to do that he was not re-signing, and then pretty much they didn't come to terms, and he just left. He's the first one that didn't get stuck and you can't leave. He's just I'm not re-signing that, and he just he just wanted to do all that stuff and have the creative freedom, and you could just see he's having so much fun now, and you just see the look on his face that's just this, he loves this so much, and for him to finally have the creative freedom to do all that again, unscripted, he hated being scripted. When you can just have him just walk around the back, he's a great talker, such a great talker. Yeah. Oh, yeah. One of the best of the modern, last 10 years for sure. When he does, oh my god, one of my favorite. Well, again, it's not me, but him and when him and Kingston do a promo, they're sitting in a trailer and they're playing with fire. It's just they just talk, and it's been captivating. Cannot. Yeah, he's another great talker. Eddie Kingston's phenomenal, but we'll get to that later. Regardless, so I kind of parcel out debuts, and I gotta shout out to one of our listeners here, Steve M. Punk, who actually mentioned, he wrote in for the show, his favorite debut, and now he was talking, I think, all over, professional wrestling, which we can get to, and feel free to call in and let us know, because again, this is for AEW, WWE, Impact, whatever you want to talk about. It's pro wrestling, it's Friday night, whatever you're thinking, about the industry. But, he mentioned his favorite debut was WWE's or WWF's Chris Jericho in 2000, and how great that was. But honestly, it's honestly someone who in AEW kind of qualifies for both. Even his debut, he just signed. He showed up at the press conference, just I'm signing with AEW. And, the precursor to Jon Moxley, it could have argued he changed the game too. So it was Jericho, and then I think Jim Ross came a couple weeks after, and everyone's all right, this company might not be just messing around for a quick hot pay-per-view. And I think them getting Tony Schiavone is a big deal. But yeah, I mean, talking about debuts all time, and we'll take some call-ins about that. That is one of the greatest pro wrestling debuts of all time. Well, I definitely agree with Steve that they had the countdown for forever. And then he just comes out and he does his pose, and you're just Oh my god! And again, it was with The Rock. I'm not necessarily a fan of the. I don't like The Rock, but when he was like
the great one,
who in the blue? What is
it?
it? Who in the blue? Hell are you? Or whatever he said. I was like, oh. But that whole I agree. I do think that's
the KY jelly plan. That was your Y2J plan. I got the KY jelly, and they just went back and forth, and it was so. And he had the crowd. Like Jericho had the crowd going. Go Jericho, go, and they started going with him. It was so great. What a great debut. Yeah, and two phenomenal talkers, and you just need that. And I think, ironically, in Jericho's book, he writes about that. The opening of his book is talking about how, of course, Vince McMahon just completely shit on that debut. He's like, "You're not worth the money that I paid you. Like, this is awful."
How to touch old man.
Yeah. So classic Vince. But I also raised the question. So most debuts, right, have been typically like in ring, out of ring, a promo. They show up, they attack somebody, they do something like Moxley attacked somebody. A lot of people, it's they're in a match, they screw somebody over, or they show up and cut
a hood and jump out, and they're like, oh, or unmat, or take their hood off, or oh, it's them.
So I throw this question out because it's interesting, because you never think about the actual in-ring debuts at a company. And I think about this in general in the pro wrestling industry. What is your, whether it's WWE, AEW, what is the greatest in-ring debut of all time? Because a lot of the matches, and it's a tougher question than you think, because of the fact that, like you look at The Undertaker, or literally anybody, Bronson Reed, or anybody coming out, Jade Cargill, whoever it is, their first match, 98% of the time, is a squash. And I got to give credit to AEW, because most of their debut matches are a lot more in depth than that. They actually at least let the person who's just taking the fall actually get over and get their spots in. But it's really hard to find a match where it's like, this was actually a really good back and forth match, that it wasn't so-and-so getting, Bromberg or whoever, getting their spots in and just hitting 3 trademark moves and then their finisher, so you see how dominant they are. And looking back on it, I came up with one that, and it may be because just the industry, right? And my best in-ring debut has to be WWE Royal Rumble, got to be Taz. So Taz was debuting, and there was all the vignettes talking, again, leading up to that, where it was like the 13th, and I didn't for some reason, I don't know if I was watching ECW as much at that time, or really at all, didn't really know who Taz was, to the point where I thought, because he wore the towel on all the promos, I thought he had long hair, and I was so shocked that he had a mohawk at the end. It threw me off. I was like, what the fuck? So he comes out, and it's actually Kurt Angle, who's on an undefeated streak, and one of the greatest of all time, right? Another guy who you could argue, great debuts and everything else, great wrestler, just picked it up so fast. But he comes out, he's on an undefeated streak, and he's basically, he does the stuff that I was hoping for the longest time, Bo Dallas, because he was doing Bo Dallas's character, the Bo Leave, that they would have stuck with, because it reminded me so much of that. And I thought Bo Dallas was going to get over on that character so much, so easily, because I loved it. I loved how much he would dance around there. Anyway, I digress. But he's basically like, come out and you can tell your grandchildren that you wrestled an Olympic hero. And then all of a sudden you hear the pulse, which actually reminds, is now kind of reincarnated every time Finn Balor does the demon. That little like kind of like dance beat, I guess, or it's a heartbeat, but anyway, he comes out and they have a really solid 6-7 minute match. Both guys get their spots in, aside from Angle doesn't use the angle slam or the ankle lock or anything like that, and Taz does a Tazplex, which was his finisher off the top rope. He hits it, and Angle actually does the rope break. So it was just a legitimate match, maybe because it was a pay-per-view, but a legitimate debut match. And ultimately, Taz chokes out Kurt Angle with the Taz mission. And ironically, it peak like perfect announcing and knowing what was going on. But basically, Jerry Lawler was like, that's a chokehold, that's a chokehold. And then the next night, Kurt Angle comes out. I was like, it was a chokehold. I'm still undefeated. This is garbage.
Yeah, like, wasn't Lawler was going on how it was like illegal or that he couldn't do that or
it was a legal chokehold, and then obviously Ross is like, no, it's his version of a sleeper. You're good. But
his son, who's in AEW, Hook, who I also love, is now doing the same move, but he's calling it Red Rum.
Right, exactly.
Murder backwards.
Well, The Shining. Who doesn't like The Shining?
Well, the movie's terrible. Controversial.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So moving on. So we wanted to do something fun. We like to try and keep it fun with the show every week as much as possible with the new topics and what's going on and with the theme. So Sunday being Nicole's favorite holiday. I do have an Irish wife.
Sorry, not sorry.
And being that Sunday is St. Patrick's Day, we figured what better a topic to talk about than Irish wrestlers. So what I'll throw out there is, who is the greatest Irish wrestler of all time? Now, I have a couple names up there. Now, I will throw this out there and make it a broader statement in saying it can be someone who's a character or actually like legitimately is Irish.
If someone says Hornswoggle,
yeah,
image for you.
Yeah, if you say Hornswoggle,
I will beat you with a shillelagh.
So, Nicole, I will defer to you.
No, thank you.
Ladies first.
Well, it's a double theme because again, March is Women's History Month. So, and then it's St. Patrick's Day. So I have to talk about my girl, Becky Lynch. She's incredible. I think it took her a while to get to where she is because unfortunately, you're Irish, you have an Irish accent, let's put you in some green and make you do a jig. And she hated it, and it was terrible. And then she finally went into her steampunk phase, and then the evolution of the man, and now she's like the top. To me, I think she's best going right now. Again, that she won the Elimination Chamber. She's going to Mania. I don't think she's going to win, unfortunately. But I think it's someone that now that they've moved, they don't make her jig anymore. But it's they allude to her being Irish, but that's not her character. And I like that so much more.
The Irish lass kicker.
Yeah, and but then we've moved so far. Obviously, that's not her moniker, nickname, whatever you want to call it anymore. I think she's just someone that I'm Irish. That's not. It has to be my character. Look at all the other things I can do. And again, her promos back then were just ugh. But now, she's just so evolved, and I think someone that Irish people, Irish women, all women, just people in general can look up to. I think, and I'm excited. I do want to get her book, to be honest. That's coming out soon.
I'd be intrigued. I've heard things about the first page of that book.
Oh, the picture?
Yeah, they're supposed. So for all you Becky Lynch fans or just
Seth
Pretty
Rollins.
Lady fans, or I guess Seth Rollins fans, yes, he's there too.
They're my favorite couple.
I tried not to look at that side of the page, but regardless, those of you that are fans of either of them, I guess, yeah, that first page will be fun for y'all. Regardless.
But, anywho, bringing it back. So that's who I want to spotlight. Becky, Irish, not only a lass kicker, but an ass kicker. I think she pinned KO at a house show a weekend or two ago.
Oh no, she was phenomenal, and I gotta say, everything. But same goes for even Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes, there's some people that just I don't want to say gave up on, but I just didn't think would pan out as well as they did. Is with what happened early on in their careers. It just it's you're not getting over, and I just don't see you getting over. And then Cody Rhodes, it was that dark character for me, and And Becky Lynch was like, all right, you're a good wrestler. I could tell that, like, energetic. I see, she's good looking. I could see why she has a fan base, like, but couldn't really get into, like, just like every other, like, really good wrestler. He's like, I can't really get into your character because you need something else than be invested in the matches. And then finally, I feel like, she broke her nose and that happened, and the whole man thing. And it was just like that was what changed. And then she started, like, it was crazy. It was like, that gave her the credibility or the confidence, maybe, I don't know, to be like, all right, F it, I'm just going to go for it. And then she started cutting crazy promo after crazy promo.
Finally gave her again, not be, I'm Irish and I can kick your butt. Like, have more depth. And I think once she did break her nose and maybe whatever, and then she was like screaming on top of when they went back up the steps and there's just blood, maybe the adrenaline or whatever, like, oh yeah, maybe she can be and do more. Right.
No, a great one. And we're going to go into this because we're going to kind of debate this, because there's a lot of really good ones. And I showed that the first three, and there's probably a lot more.
Let us know in the comments. Let us know.
We want to hear from everybody, and I'm sure we have some callers on the line that are probably gonna let us know. But for me, I kind of defaulted, and maybe this is the easy way out, to Sheamus, because I just felt like he's had such a great career in WWE, and maybe I'm a WWE guy more than you are, but I felt like he's had such a successful career, especially like a main eventer, bouncing around different titles, world champion, tag team champion, just got over. I was never a huge fan, but I respect him as a wrestler and what he's done, and like the character work he's done, and like everything, just how he's grown over the course of his career. So for me, it's Sheamus. But there's a lot of others. There's Sheamus, and I really want to, and forgive me because I'm going to look this up. So cagematch.net keeps their stats. So I'm comparatively, statistically, just want to see who actually, at least in the three that we know, the third that I'll throw out there is Finn Balor, and he was on our homepage of this list. Universal champion, current tag team champion.
Yeah. He started Bullet Club. I know people forget because it was long ago. There's been so many iterations, but Bullet Club is Bullet Club because of Finn Balor.
And don't forget Carl Anderson, the good brother.
Yeah, it was
Machine Gun Carl Anderson started it with him.
Machine Gun, Bad Luck Fale, and Tama Tonga.
Which is,
oh my god, gross.
A little acidic when you drink some wine, but it happens. Okay, so I didn't want to get too much into this, but so I have cagematch.net title reigns. So according to this, well, I'm just curious because, statistically, yes, again, a lot of people are champions more than others.
I don't think you can base the best wrestlers off title.
No, but it shows
especially
that
WWE, because Vince McMahon was just like, and I think I also didn't like Sheamus at first. Like, he got pushed like super hard, super quick. I honestly wasn't getting really on board until him and Cesaro had that best out of 7, and then they became like the tag. Maybe his tag team with Cesaro, because I love Cesaro, just made me like him, and I do like his new kind of brawlery gimmick with his little suspenders and.
Okay, well, you don't want to compare, but I'm a sports guy. I like the idea of stats. Hey, AEW is doing records, so why can't we keep some sort of records and just compare? I'm just saying.
You do you, babe.
I'm gonna do me. I will do me real hard.
Story of your life.
Exactly. Everybody wins. So here's Becky Lynch's stats. So I guess we're going to count. I'm just going to count WWE stuff, like major promotions.
Yeah.
Right. So WWE, NXT Women's Champion, 1 time. Women's Champion, WWE Women's Champion 2 times. WWE Women's Tag Team Champion, just 1 time. I thought it was twice, though, with Lita. But
she just won with Lita.
Oh yeah, it just says okay. So, and then WWE Women's World Champion, which one of them is gonna be Raw, one of them is gonna be SmackDown. I'm not sure which one's which anymore, but 4 times. So a total of 6 WWE Women's Championships if you count both belts, and then the NXT Women's title, and then a tag team title ring.
Yeah, but then her one reign was for how long? Wasn't she over a year? Or
I'm just like, again, that's what the beauty of this. It's a fun debate. Who you like more? If you're a statistic person, you can do that. Like statistically, Tom Brady has the most Super Bowls. He's got the most, whatever it is. Is he the best? I don't think so. I think Peyton Manning was better. But again, that's the debate. So Sheamus, comparatively, WWE World Heavyweight Champion, so the WCW title, WWE Champion 3 times, United States Champion 3 times, Tag Team Champion on SmackDown once, and then Raw Tag Team Champion 4 times.
But he doesn't have the IC one. But that match with him, Gunther, and Drew was match at the beginning of last year. He puts on great matches.
That's a good question. Is he a Hall of Famer? Sheamus?
Eventually, for sure. Like all the people that they induct nowadays, like everyone can get it.
Yeah. There's a Hall of Famer for you, Finley.
I'm Irish and I love to fight.
But yeah, we're gonna throw it out to everybody. Like, what is the greatest Irish wrestler or Irish themed wrestler of all time?
Yeah, and for Irish, let me know what your St. Patrick's Day plans are.
Exactly. Cheers. We got Jameson over here somewhere in the corner of the bar. All right, so moving on. Let's get back to actually kayfabe. Storylines, whatever you want to call it.
The new. The current.
Yeah. The current storylines. So in the last week, between SmackDown, Raw, we've covered AEW this week. Not as much as we like with the storyline stuff, but we'll get to it. If you guys have questions or want to talk about AEW, feel free to comment in, call in. Love to have you. But we're going to keep this towards WWE storylines in terms of big topics that we've noticed. And last Friday, the confrontation went down, or another confrontation between Rock, Roman, Cody.
Well, it was set up on Raw that Cody and Seth were going to go to SmackDown to formally accept the challenge that The Rock and Roman Reigns dished out the week before. So now all 4 of them are in the ring and they're all talkie-talkies.
Right. So they're all going back and forth. Normal promo. The Rock's basically running down Cody Rhodes saying you have to accept this or basically you're a coward. And
then Seth yells when you shut the hell up and accepts the challenge.
So, yeah, in a nutshell, Seth Rollins accepted the challenge on behalf of the tag team, which planted the seed.
Well, can we say one thing before you go into the next thing?
Okay.
Well, which prompted the slap? Because I'm like, we're saying, oh, you slapped him. Let's say why you slapped him.
Okay, yes. Sorry.
So
that's why you're here. You keep me honest. Love you.
So, of course, Rock is running down Cody and makes a weird, you have older siblings, and also says, a Hall of Fame brother. So, shout out to Dustin Goldust. But then, mention that there's an age gap obviously there's an age gap between his older sister and Dustin. And then because Dusty Rhodes had a couple wives. So he had 2 kids with the one woman, that's Goldust's mom. And then got with Cody's mom and had 2 other kids, Teal and Cody. So he's like, oh, well, the age gap, was whatever years. He's like, you're a mistake.
Which is ironic because The Rock's got kids.
His daughter, Ava Raine, who is the NXT Women's Champion. Okay. Or not.
No, NXT General Manager.
General Manager, sorry.
I corrected her once. I did it. I was right Guys, you can be right at least once in life with your wife. And I just did it. This is a moment.
Oh, God.
Hold on.
3:15. Nick corrected me for saying a wrong word.
3:15. Oh, yes,
That's-
at 3:15
that's
of
the
the day.
date.
Yes, mark this
Can't say
down.
it.
40 minutes in.
Oh, God. Anywho, so Rock's daughter, Ava Rain, with WOMONE, and then he has a daughter, Jasmine, I believe her name, who's like 4 or 5. There's like a 14-year age difference. So actually, Braylee's wife was like, that's a weird thing to say. So, I don't know. That was weird. But saying, oh, you were a mistake prompted the slap.
Right.
But again, I know it's kayfabe, but like in real life, like your daughters are the same. So are you saying your daughter's a mistake? Or just, you know?
Yeah. It's
It
a
was
stupid
weird.
comment, but like to the point, like kayfabe wise, like character wise, the heel's supposed to be an idiot. Like you're supposed to realize you're dumb. Like you're doing this, and I want you to get your ass kicked because you're saying something stupid, and it should just be, in my opinion, like kind of common sense. So Cody slaps Rock. We go off air, which there were some reports surfaced this past week that basically that they should have cut off soon, and in different areas of the country, some people missed a lot of it.
That's why a lot of people were reporting the next day that like, oh, they didn't see it, like it cut out, it went to black, and I was like, we saw that. Like, am I going crazy? Like, am I imagining that? But like, no, like I don't know, East Coast maybe versus West Coast. That like East Coast it was like more live, and like they cut it for West Coast, like, oh, but we definitely saw the slap.
So Cody slaps Rock. We go off air.
Yep.
And moves us into Monday night. Over the weekend, we have time to take it all in, I guess, like we normally do. And Michael Cole is going to do an exclusive sit-down interview with Cody Rhodes, as I'm looking at Cody Rhodes' face on the screen. Anyway, so he's doing I shouldn't have that there. A sit-down interview with Cody Rhodes about everything that happened, the acceptance of the match and the rules, the stipulations, I should say. And he basically comes out and that little shit stir. Look at his face, Michael Cole. Like, you just know he's about to start some shit. So he comes out, and the investigative journalist that he is, the prize-winning shit stir, he comes out and basically starts running down everything that happened and says, how can you... Now, keep in mind, for those of us paying attention, last Friday, Seth Rollins was the one who accepted the challenge, not Cody Rhodes. So if you want to use subtleties to it and read between the lines, again, a little bit of a seed planted in that aspect. And now he comes out and on Monday basically says the last person to defeat Roman Reigns in any form or fashion in a one-on-one match, it was disqualification, but regardless, was Seth Rollins. And maybe Seth wants to be the one to knock off Roman and wants it for himself. So how can you trust Seth? Plants the seed. Also plants the seed about Jey Uso, who's the other guy who's got his back, right, during this whole bloodline feud. And basically that's where we leave it off with Cody saying, I'm not worried. Like, I trust Seth and people change, essentially.
Yeah, that was just like, he was like,
So it poses the question, do you trust Seth Rollins? And does Seth Rollins turn on Cody Rhodes and turn heel and screw him over? They both are going to have 2 matches at WrestleMania this year. Now, a couple things. Drew McIntyre has come out and cut promos and said how Seth's really overly focused on this whole bloodline thing instead of his title reign. He could lose his belt to Drew McIntyre, and eventually maybe that plants a more of a seed, or is the kick in the ass that he needs to maybe make that heel turn. I don't know. It's an interesting dilemma. So what do you think?
No, I don't. Again, you've been with us for a couple months now. You know my love for Seth Rollins. his last heelish thing during the pandemic didn't go over very well. Again, this is actually when I fell in love with Seth Rollins, when he finally turned and he went on his whole thing. But I don't want to see a heel Seth at this point. I don't think. I'd rather see it just, he's so obsessed with this. And I honestly, unfortunately, I think he is taking the pin in the tag match. And I think that's more fodder for, I think Drew's going to take the belt off him too. I think he's just going to lose everything. And maybe that turns him something. I don't want to see him turn on Cody, even though he kind of has that MO. But I think it's more that, like, he's going to lose the belt to Drew. And Drew's going to be like, see, you underestimating me. You were so worried about this. You should have been worried about this and your belt, and now you don't have one. I don't know. I don't want to see a heel Seth. I want him to drop the belt to Drew and then go away for a little bit. I want him to heal up his back and heal up his knee and hang out with Rue. Like, just, I think sometimes, as much as I love him, I'm kind of like, absence makes the heart grow fonder sort of deal. Like, I think he needs to step away for a little bit.
Gotta disagree. Honestly, I love a heel Seth Rollins. He's always been better cutting heel promos.
The last one wasn't good.
The only reason I would agree with you about him not turning heel is because there's a lack of good faces at WWE right now. And LA Knight's one of them.
What the fuck? Sorry.
Cody Rhodes.
What is he doing?
Cody Rhodes and LA Knight are the only two I could think of that are just consistently, like, honestly, one of the biggest faces right now might even be R-Truth at this point in time.
But don't,
Sammy is, but he's lost so much. I'm talking about, like, all right, sorry, I should clarify. Main event level face. Because Sammy lost that. Like, he had it last year, and if they gave him the belt or did something with the momentum, maybe he'd still.
They should have had the tab belts longer.
Well, honestly, no, I don't know. I don't think it matters that I think that dilutes, like when you're talking about main event talent, like last year, if you were going to make Sami Zayn an actual legitimate main event, consistent main eventer, and when I say main eventer, I mean a guy that you stop putting him in the title picture. He or she, I should say, clarify. And they're still important near the top of the card because no matter who they feud with, gets over. Like AJ Styles is a legitimate main event talent to me who is just lost in the card right now. But like that type, there's not many faces there. So that's the only that are at that main event level. Cody and LA Knight are the only ones.
I would say maybe Jay.
Jay's getting there, but
his mania, he declared on Raw and he's going after his brother.
Right, and he has no singles titles to his name to right. So he needs to, like, and he's not going to be put in the world title picture right out the gate. So he still needs to win even a mid.
Drew wins it, I think that'd be a good first opponent for Drew.
Yeah, but he's not going to be, like, he's still, like, my view is you're not a main eventer until you've at least won that title. Or had consistent main event match where you're super over. Like LA Knight needs to win the belt, needs to be a world champion to be a main event talent where he can go and they can put a card on in Biloxi, Mississippi and put LA Knight versus whoever. You name X person, it doesn't matter, and people are going to go in and chant LA Knight, and whoever they're against is going to get that organic heat because of the fact that it's LA Knight you're facing, and he's just so over. There's no faces that are like that. That's the only reason I wouldn't turn Seth heel, but I still love a heel Seth Rollins, and here's the reason why. He always is great at leading stables. Don't think he's going to have a stable. Not the point. He's a great talker, face or heel. Mm-hmm. But the whole organic storyline of he's consumed with something, right? Well, he's consumed with ending the bloodline. Well, he couldn't end the bloodline. And if there's some sort of quirky finish where it was because he took a bullet for Cody Rhodes and that's why they lost the match or something happened, and then he's extra beat up for his match with Drew where he loses the belt. And then that WrestleMania moment where he lost his chance to end the bloodline, end the bloodline, right? And he lost his world title that meant so much to him that he legitimized. And on top of that, after all that happens and he decompresses, or while he's at home stewing, or like you say, getting away from everything, not even maybe the next night, he realizes that, oh yeah, we lost this first match because of Cody Rhodes. Also, like, I had this guy's back, and this is a guy I've never beaten. So like that whole mentality of like, I want to end the bloodline, but I've also never beaten this guy. That could add just another level to that feud that consumes him to the point where he's like, you know what? We couldn't end the bloodline, and we would have, but this happened. You know, something in the match. I don't know. I can't tell you right now. Like something quirky happened in the match where he took a spear or something for Cody, and then he ended up taking the fall, and that spear or whatever through the table or something stupid or exaggerated is what injured him and softened him up for his match with Drew, and it's just a downfall that started because of Cody Rhodes. I think Cody Rhodes still needs to win a belt, but I would love to see us heel Seth Rollins Cody Rhodes feud. I think it plays into it.
Few things. So I guess my worry is that they're just gonna turn him heel to get Cody over more, and I guess maybe that's the point of it. But I don't want it's. I don't know, maybe it's like the Daniel Bryan thing. Is like, oh, he got beat up in the first match. How is he ever gonna do the second match? And it's like, oh, well, the Bloodline beat him up, and his tag team partner did it, so he's this triumphant baby face. Then great. Then what is Seth after that? I don't know. I'm fine with him turning heel after Mania, but I don't want it to be at Mania hitting Cody.
No. I guess the scenario that I'm presenting is he's gotta lose twice. Like maybe he a double turn with Rock and Rollins makes perfect sense to me. Night 2, the Bloodline rule. He takes whatever the tag match is. It becomes no DQ because the Rock. Remember, the Rock's on the TKO board. He can do whatever he wants. So maybe he says, "Oh, it's no DQ." Something crazy, right? Because then we'll see Jey Uso, we'll see Solo, we'll see Jimmy, all that stuff get involved, and maybe it's something he pushes Cody out of the way and takes a spear through a table or something or that, and then he loses. He's softened up for night 2. Where he loses earlier in the night, the opening match to Drew, and he starts as Bloodline rules and the chaos ensues. He starts to grab that jealousy because he's lost 2 of the things that matter the most to him, which was ending the Bloodline and retaining his belt. And now the man I was trying to help to do this, who's not pulling his weight.
I don't know. Everything about it makes me feel like it.
No, I just think it's one of those situations where, maybe he gives him a curb stomp and he kicks out of the curb stomp, and then Rock later in the moment turns on Roman because they're teasing that oh well, the Rock's the bigger star. Roman's maybe Rock doesn't fully turn. It's just the egos between Rock and Roman that turns them, and then evens the odds. He gives a rock bottom, and then we're all square even again.
My concern, I know it's gonna be a Bloodlines rule match or whatever they're calling it. I'm just worried that they're gonna overbook it and have so many crazy things happen. I just want Cody to win clean. I don't want him to win because someone did a thing and this happened and that happened and that happened. He needs to win clean.
He's gonna win with a pin, and it doesn't matter.
Clean. Not that the Rock hit Roman with the belt and he covers him. That would be terrible.
No, it's not gonna be a rock bottom for a chance. It's not gonna be like the Miz did years ago with John Cena.
That's what I'm worried about.
No, it's not gonna be like that. It's gonna be more. My view more as the Rock evens up the odds because Seth turns and no one expected Seth to give the curb stomp to Cody, and he walks out on Cody. The shock ensues, and as Roman goes to go over, maybe Rock gives him a rock bottom, or Cody kicks out of the curb stomp, something along those lines. Where later in the match, again, Rock sitting there looks at Roman, and again, the 2 egos, that's what they're teasing. That's what I'm getting in the underlying storyline, is that they're teasing the 2 egos. The Rock has been saying he's the biggest ego. That's what makes more sense than the Rock just being a double agent. I know that a lot of people, internet community have said he's a double agent. I think it makes more sense that The Rock he's with Roman right now because of the family. Like, that's the whole gimmick, right? The bloodline. No, but his grandfather and Roman's grandfather had the blood oath, right? They did that whole thing. That's the storyline. So the idea is that, The Rock is such an egomaniac as a heel, just like Roman is an egomaniac as a heel. And that's what breaks up all heel tag teams, all power trips, is that they're both egomaniacs. And then eventually it comes down to, like, how many times do we see it at the Royal Rumble? Oh, we're going to go as a tag team, as a unified, as a collective unit, and we're going to beat the crap out of everyone until it's the last two, and then someone screws someone over. So, like, I think because everyone's out for themselves. So I think it's something along those lines, which actually lends itself better to the storyline that we've been seeing than just Rock being like, all right, I'm going to give him rock bottom. See, we were in on it the whole time.
I don't know. I think he needs to hit the crossroads. I don't know how many he has to do, but that move has to happen, and then the 1, 2, 3. I just don't want any shenanigans, or like I want it just to be clean. And I know it's not going to be clean, and I think that's what I don't know.
Well, one thing's for sure is that based off of Cody's promo at the end, this is the end of this story. Whatever this story is.
Well, that was the other stipulation, that he's not allowed to challenge.
Yeah, so this is it. And we're all in.
It makes me, I don't know if it telegraphs it too much, because he has to win now. And then also, they did that stipulation in AEW. He lost to Jericho, and he never was able to go back after that belt, and then he just occupied the TNT championship space.
So,
I don't know. I'm worried, but we'll talk more when we get to predictions and closer to... We're still on the road, babies. We got 3 more weeks.
Yeah, 3 more until WrestleMania. And so, just letting everyone know, we're here every Friday, just to bring it back. Every Friday at 6 o'clock for Wrestling Happy Hour, leading into basically 7:30, depending on how many people start listening in. So tell your friends. Make sure you join in every Friday at 6. But we're going to try and bleed this in some way or another into SmackDown. So on Friday night. So again, make sure to tune in. So we're going to open up the phone lines here.
Yeah. You tell your friend, bring your friends, and we'll be friends.
That sounds good. That sounds much better than whatever I said. But
I think that was I think it's a biggie.
Probably.
Bring your friend, and then maybe we can be friends. I don't know.
Anyway, we're going to open up the phone lines.
I digress. We haven't said that once this podcast.
I know. We got a lot longer. I mean, we had a lot to cover. We covered a lot. So we're trying not to ramble on, but there's a lot to cover. And we're trying to keep it to a Cliff Notes version of the week. But, with WWE, 2 shows, 3 shows, 4 shows, maybe? 2? Wait. NXT counts as 3.
I know.
So 3 plus AEW. And if we really went into Rampage, if we really
I know. I'm to be honest, I keep up with, like, the Cliff Notes version of NXT. I haven't watched NXT live, and I can't.
Right.
Once they went 2.0 and color vomit, I'm like, I miss black and gold.
But we're talking everything, so if you want to talk NXT,
we can. I know Lash Legend and Trick Williams made out. They're a real couple in real life.
I don't know.
Yeah.
News to me. Good for them.
Whoop that trick.
Anyway.
Callers.
So getting into it,
Friends. We're
gonna open up the phone lines, but let us know. We have Mercedes Moné debuting. We talked about, does Seth turn on Cody? Who's your favorite Irish wrestler? Maybe you want to talk about that. That's a good one. Maybe you have a new name that we didn't mention at all.
I feel like there's so many people we haven't mentioned. We can talk Brody Lee. I'll talk Brody Lee all day. What do you got? What are you thinking?
All right. Well, I think I know who this is.
Oh boy.
A solid listener. Every week he calls in. Now he's going this week with the Irish theme as Shame Us.
God.
But I think I know who this is. Is this Steve?
I'm becoming too predictable.
Steve!
Hello, folks.
Steve, what are you drinking tonight? What non-alcoholic drink are you drinking?
Yeah, no alcohol tonight. That's for later. Just Coke.
Love it.
The kind that you drink. So,
Just to clarify.
Just to clarify.
No unpaid sponsor.
So, Steve, what do you think? We got a lot of topics, a lot of wrestling. What's your takeaway from this week? What is on the tip of your tongue?
I don't think Mercedes MONE is even a top 5 debut. Should I? Okay, you got the picture up. I had to wait. You had to go all the way back to the beginning.
I know. I realized I should have left it there, but I didn't.
And you're on a delay on the TV, so I just saw it on the big screen. It's like, whoa, shoot. I don't even think that debut was top 5. I think what was it? Cole, in no particular order. Cole, Punk, Daniel Bryan. I had forgotten about Moxley. That's true. And I thought that Ruby Soho got a bigger pop when she showed up for the first time.
So long. It was like, I agree with Steven. She came out and everyone lost their mind.
Oh yeah, because they were doing promos with her with like the Runaway stuff, right? Leading up to that, if I remember
it was
correctly.
like the Destination Unknown.
Yeah, but I think, or maybe her like it said like Runaway. Yeah, and she what a miss! Talking about another miss. Like I love Ruby Soho, and she's someone who's just completely gets buried in the roster.
Yeah, you can even put Soraya ahead as a debut. She just came out in the tennis stadium and waved at the crowd. No, and I have a feeling eventually, these 3 big debuts that they all signed, they had a good crowd, decent sized crowd last night, but Wednesday night. What day is it?
Where are we?
Steve, it's happy hour. It's Friday. It's happy hour time.
Yeah.
Throw them up. I
was not in the office today, so it's Friday. Okay, yeah, and once they get into the cycle of continuously facing the hard cam side and nobody's there, week after week after week, and they see Raw and SmackDown with full arenas, and they'll have their one or two, they'll have their Wembley show, they'll have their tennis stadium show in the city. In the meantime, the shop across the street is having like 8 or 9 sold out stadium shows a year, and they're going to start to get wandering eyes. Or in Monet's case, there's still the pursuit of Hollywood, as soon as the Mandalorian begins filming again.
Well, you make a good point. So this report came out, I think yesterday or very recently. And so she came out and Mercedes did an interview where she said she's still, she's not closing, which, I mean, to be perfectly honest, like who closes off the idea of going back to the biggest wrestling company? Like you'd be stupid to say like, I'm never going back to WWE. Like, but regardless, she did that interview saying, and it was very, very recently saying like, I would definitely consider going back to WWE. So everyone's like,
she said she knows she will go back.
Yeah.
She said she has unfinished business everywhere. And you literally said that, like, it was like Monday or Tuesday. So, like, a day or two before you're about to debut for another company. Apparently, there's also a report that a lot of women in AEW were like, what?
Right. Like, she took the offer. I don't think she's making as much as Okada, but she might be. At this point, I wouldn't be shocked if her offer was like 3 years, $9 million. If they gave Okada like 13 over 3.
I have to see what Charlotte's making because it's just over Charlotte.
But see, here's my thing: is if you're gonna spend that kind of money, like and I don't know exactly how much you make, but you're talking like that's main event money. Like John Cena was making in the millions. Undertaker, like in their prime, they were making in the millions, tens of millions. You better move the needle for the company. And I just don't like even WWE. I don't see her ever doing that.
Nope, me neither. And as far as those the statements she made on that podcast, which, as I understand it, got edited out of the final version of that podcast. So if Monet finds herself on Rampage in a feud with Sky Blue, she knows exactly who to blame.
Right. Hey, Sky Blue's getting over, and she's coming to New Jersey, our local state, in another month for a signing, actually. In I'm blanking on it, but she's coming for signing. I don't think the AEW is actually coming around here anytime soon. Sky Blue might be just as over as Mercedes Moné by then. You never know.
That's true. A lot can happen, over weeks and months. So
listen, and if earmuffs, Nicole, earmuffs, wife. But if they keep showing pictures of her butt like all the males are doing, earmuffs. I said earmuffs. We're muting her.
Bro.
She can't.
Bro.
If they keep showing pictures, I'm telling you, she might get over more. Like how many?
You're
I feel
disgusting.
like whatever.
Disgusting.
I'm just saying what everyone else male is thinking.
Why I can't possibly comment.
I know Bailey's butt's better. Let's be honest.
Oh.
Bailey.
But I mean, the ratings came out and they didn't do very well. And I know they didn't officially announce that she was going to be there that night, but everybody knew. Everybody knew she was going to be on the show. I mean, please, they named the show after her.
Yeah.
Well, you called in last week and you kind of alluded to it and got us on the topic when you called in. You're like, oh yeah, everyone really knows, and we both chuckled because everyone knew it was the least kept secret in all of professional wrestling.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Like, oh, surprise, surprise! Look who it is.
So, Steve, let me ask you because you always have unique takes on this. Who is your? And I don't know how big an AEW fan you are. So, but who's your biggest debut, whether it's AEW or in general? What do you think?
Oh, you see, that's a tough one. Whether we're, I can tell you what. Well, the Jericho debut stayed with me as far as first wrestling match. I mean, Santino won the Intercontinental title his first match. So.
Very true.
What a great one.
But
man.
But let me give you a dark horse one that stayed with me all these years. And yes, we're going back to 90s ECW for this. The ECW shows would lean on the trope too much of, I think this might have been where it started actually, of killing the lights in the arena for 30 seconds and then all of a sudden the lights are back up.
Yes.
There. I think
you are 100% correct because it started in ECW and that's where I feel like that gimmick, I'm going to call it a gimmick. That gimmick is what all indie feds are trying to do all but that's where a lot of New Japan got big, Ring of Honor, all the Bullet Club stuff was all that lights out, whoever shows up. Yeah. Anyway,
right. And I bought into that every time they would do it. And most of the time it would be somebody who was already on the roster, but sometimes it would be somebody you totally wouldn't have expected to be there. And I can remember pretty vividly they did this, and who was there when the lights came up was Brian Pillman.
Oh yeah, yes. And that was right. Was he in he was in WWE at the time, or was he?
No, he got WCW to fire him.
Right, and ECW was just the. I mean, I don't know if it was common knowledge that he was on his way to WWE, but ECW was happy to have him for, the short time that they were going to have him available, because any kind of a known name to that would help continue to draw the crowds that they were drawing.
Yeah. Heyman was great at that. That's what he was owing, and even Cody Rhodes cites that in his promos to Paul Heyman about how much he loves Paul Heyman because he reached out to Dusty when they had financial issues. So he was always good at bringing in either a one time or a short little stint. And he was the pioneer in doing being smart about here's a star that I know can put over my next talent and just bring them in for a short period that I know can elevate somebody. And and even Lights Out. I always think Sandman always, I feel Lights Out, he would show up, or Rob Van Dam. And Bill Alfonso with the whistle, just like or Sabu. Sabu was really. I feel like Sabu was probably actually, now that I'm thinking through, was the one I associate the most with the lights out and just like him doing all the crazy Arabian face busters on the chair and just destroying himself. The fact that guy can still like he did the AEW match like probably around a year, maybe even less than a year ago now, and was it MJF? Who did he do it with? Gosh, I'm blanking on. I feel like it had to do with MJF challenging someone, and he put someone through.
Cole, didn't he? It wasn't against Cole, but like Cole was with him.
I'm blank, but like the fact that I guess
Practicing the concept.
overall, like my whole thinking on it is just like the fact that he's still like walking upright with all the crazy stunts that he's done is insane to me. Steve, what do you got for? Do you have an in-ring match or just more of a regular debut?
Just regular debuts. As far as first match, I cannot really think of one that particular. I mean, you already mentioned the Taz match with. By the way, I knew who Taz was.
Really? I thought I'm like, what?
I stayed up for many weeks on Saturday nights watching Taz.
Well, like I didn't because that was before I started like really like I watched WWE, WCW because that was what was on TV. So like I never really knew like the alternative, and then like it was like, oh, like I'd be up one random night at 11 or whatever it was, 2 a.m, and you're like, oh, this is another wrestling thing? And I'm like, oh, these guys are crazy, but it's cool. Like, and then I got into it, but that was after the fact. And then I actually remember, this is what's so weird about it, is that like I was such and whatever, call me Mark, call me whatever you want.
Mark.
But a WWE fan that, this is back, 90s, beginnings of the internet, right? So the big thing was like, internet, chat rooms, all that other stuff, websites. So like WWE.com, you'd go on there and like, it's like these articles. It's like, oh, I read through all the articles every day. And I remember reading Taz getting signed. It's like WWE signs Taz. And he had the towel on and I just didn't. I was like, oh, cool. No effing clue who the hell he was at the time.
Little baby.
And then you see the promos, and I saw the promos, and I swear to God, literally was expecting him to be like a long-haired dude because the way the towel, let me show you with the picture, the way the towel drips over his head, and when they cut those promos, what?
Nothing. I love you.
He gets it feathered. And like literally looked like long hair. So I was expecting him to have such long hair. And then he shows up and I had no idea it was him. And I'm like, oh man, that's cool. And then he takes off, he's got a mohawk. I'm like, oh wow. Like Road Warrior, like Animal, wasn't expecting that. Or Hawk or Animal. And
Animal.
No, yeah, Animal, because Hawk had the double. But yeah, like in terms of an actual match, that has to be one of the best in-ring matches. Because like Undertaker, like everyone who came out, like your debut is always like, this guy's 6'8", 320 pounds of all muscle. He could do, run a 4.240 and do 6 moonsaws and like watch him do it, and he'll do a backflip and look how awesome he is. And like for the next month and a half, he's gonna kick the absolute ever-living shit out of a bunch of jobbers, and you'll be like, he's the greatest thing, like the average, like not even average, but like
nothing with him.
Yeah, and then they'll build that person up to challenging for either a mid-card title or the world title and just be fed to everybody else. And like that's normally what it is for everybody. Like, and to actually see, and maybe that was because like Taz had the experience, so you knew that like he's gonna put on a good match. It's not like it's like a 7-foot guy that's just gonna come in and give a big boot, choke slam, and be done. So you knew he could put on a good match because he was a main eventer versus like, I guess, indies, like a main eventer on TV versus a main eventer versus in the indies. But yeah, like it was one of those situations. Sorry. We've talked a lot about Taz and seriously, Taz, get on the show.
Yeah, this was probably his highlight of his WWE career because it was all pretty much downhill from that.
It was, and then it's funny, like a year later, he was just completely swept under the rug, and he was doing stuff with like Raven, and then I thought it was gonna get reignited.
Matches.
Yeah, like I thought it was gonna get reignited with Raven, and I was like, oh my god, Raven's now in WWE, and another guy who I loved in ECW and WCW too. He was really good in WCW, and again, just kind of a waste. But Steve, so Irish wrestlers, do you have a name? Do you have someone that's not on the list?
Not on the list.
Or just like someone different than we've mentioned, or do you ever mention a favorite?
Let me bring up a name going back to when I first started watching wrestling. Is the first Irish wrestler I think I saw was Velvet McIntyre. It was a female wrestler. They didn't bring her on very much. They barely had the lady wrestlers on at that time, but every now and then she'd show up. That's the first one I remember, and that was what mid '80s. And as far as greatest, I don't know. I would probably questionably have to go with Balor. If for I mean, for maybe just his New Japan career alone.
That's a good one.
That's
so
a weird photo to use. Not thinking about it. He didn't have that belt.
But
no.
But
well,
also shout out to Finlay, not so much for his in-ring career, which was all right, but I mean he shaped the women's division to what it is today. Between him and later on Tyson Kidd joined him.
Yeah, he was great, and he did a lot. Like a lot of people don't like think about it because he did garbage in terms of like on screen, but like WCW, he was pretty well known in WCW.
He's just got that mind for the business, and I think maybe he didn't get across how he should have maybe did like in ring, but like behind the scenes, I think he's definitely, like you said, like shaped so much of like current wrestling.
Oh, absolutely. It's interesting. So like, I'm pulling up some of his stats here, right? So, well, if we're going to count New Japan, I'll count New Japan because IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Junior Heavyweight Tag Champion 6 times. NWA, no. So WWE Intercontinental Champion twice. NXT Champion twice. Mm-hmm. Raw Tag Team Champion twice. SmackDown Champion, Tag Team Champion twice. Yeah, so currently. And then he's U.S. Champion and then the first ever, right? Universal Champion. So
and then Seth broke his arm. Popped his shoulder, rotator. Oh, they popped it back in the match.
Well, that was when. So that was when like everyone, and I was surprised.
2016.
Did he stop? Someone correct me if I'm wrong, because now we have some new listeners in. So new listeners, be sure to subscribe, like, comment, all that fun stuff. But someone else correct me if I'm wrong. I think he stopped doing the buckle bomb for like a couple weeks after that because that was how.
Yeah, it was a buckle bomb.
Yeah. It was on the out. It wasn't a turnbuckle. It was actually on the outside railing.
Right. And the entrance to the left. I think he did stop for a while because I'm pretty sure that's how he also hurt Sting. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I buckle bomb every time he does it. I'm like, that's the first pay-per-view I watched.
It is. You're right. You're right. Sorry.
From Philly, to be honest. So that SummerSlam is so like, and they revealed the red belt. Everyone got upset. Seth hurt Finn. Finn was supposed to go on this major run.
Oh, that ended. Oh no! Forget the like. I didn't
lift his arm. Like
Well, forget the Universal title or whatever. Like, I think we all like. I think at this point in time, can we all agree that like it's fair to say like just call it the Raw title, the Raw World Champion, and the SmackDown World Champion because I'm tired of this. Like, this is the WWE title, and this is more prestigious, but this is also the World Heavyweight Universal. Like, I'm tired of just say you're the just like the women's titles. You're the Raw World Champion.
That's not what they are anymore.
Yeah, but there's so much like every time we unify the titles, and then we go right back to all right. Well, Raw needs a belt or SmackDown needs a belt, so we're going to create some other stupid belt.
So much And technically, Rhea's belt, the lineage, is the SmackDown belt from Charlotte, even though she's on Raw.
And they're going to exchange next week or something.
I think that's why they did it, because that segment got so, like, broke up a friendship for a couple of years.
I'm pouring during this discussion because I get very angry with belts.
I am going to disagree with you wholeheartedly. I think it's better to not have it labeled to Raw or SmackDown, because that's when you can transition people or not have them tied to one brand because of that Becky Charlotte thing. They were supposed to hand it over. It didn't go smoothly. Charlotte threw the belt. It looked real bad. So I think that was kind of the impetus for them to not kind of.
I just feel like titles are
more generic. Well, again, they have so many titles.
There's too many. Can I just say this? There's too many titles. First off, there's too many. There's too many.
I love this.
I've had
a unique take. Too many titles. Okay. Everyone thinks there's too many.
Everyone knows. Yeah. Okay. All right. Not a bold take. But regardless, can we just get all right? Let's leave one women's champion. Like, that makes it so much more valuable to anyone that's holding the belt.
You can. Well, that's the thing. They're having two men's champion, then you have two women's
Same
champion.
thing. Like, yeah, exactly. Like, one tag team champion, not within what we have right now.
And then divide it. I feel like they're going to divide. Oh my God, we'll talk maybe next week or we get to meet it. A 6-pack scramble tag team ladder match at Mania. That's 12 men in a ladder match. That's going to be bananas.
Let's get it.
You want to get into it?
I don't care. I love the idea of
It's going to be crazy.
So there's 12 people in a ladder match.
Yeah, if it's 6 tag teams, that's 12 men. Let's do math, my babies. But that's a lot of people to be in a ladder match.
Yeah, but as long as Joey Mercury's not in it, we're good.
Oh.
Nobody. Soon? Too soon?
How dare you?
Is that too soon?
He's not listening.
They're awful.
Brett Steve was still on the line.
Just, listening to mom and dad fight.
So, Steve, before we let you go, because we got some other listeners, and I don't know if anyone else wants to get in the conversation, but feel free, because now we're talking about a 6-pack challenge for the World Tag Team titles, which 1 million people could be involved. And I want to see.
I forgot what the bracket looks like, but I know it's like the Creeds are first, I think, DIY, and it's like, no, both those tag teams should be in that match. But I think it's a foregone conclusion that it's going to be Miz.
Miz R-Truth.
Yeah.
Awesome Truth.
Yeah, I was trying to think Awesome Truth, and then it was not coming to my brains. But the rumor is they think they're going to take the belts off it. But I just want the Creeds to be in there. I think they need to be a thing more. We haven't seen them lately, but it's interesting way to get a lot of people in a weird tag match in.
I don't even know what graphic to throw up for that. I don't have any other graphics.
Need a graphic. Put up Chi-Chi.
Mercedes Moné is good in ladder matches. She seems like she'll be all right.
Yeah.
But
no, I can't even.
No, honestly, like that to me, like you gotta put like. I feel like it kind of like. I think you and I may have talked about this. I don't know. We talk a lot because we live together.
We do.
I don't know if you know this, but we live together.
Where are you? This is not my house. This is not my beautiful life.
This is where I park my car.
Oh my God, what have I done?
But I lost my train of thought. But no, I got it back. So I feel like this is a way of replacing Money in the Bank. Right? Like we used to have Money in the Bank every year, like a ladder match at WrestleMania. And it was so cool.
Made it on pay-per-view. I would love for it to go back to be a Mania thing. I'm just thinking, again, my Brody Lee, when they had WrestleMania 31, when they had that amazing 7-person ladder match for the IC belt. When Daniel won it, Brody Lee was in it. Stardust was Stardust, and he pulled out the dusty ladder.
I remember Dusty Ladder.
Or is that the other? It's in some ladder match. He pulled out a Dusty Ladder. It was black and with a yellow polka dots. But anyway, no, WrestleMania 31. So I just rewatched a lot of Brody Lee stuff. But anyway, like I think this is great. We're bringing back big multi-man ladder matches. I think 12 might be a little much, but I'm excited to see it.
No, for sure. I'm pretty pumped. I just think that whether it's DIY or I hope they get in, you can't put like, oh my God, the Viking Raiders or AOP in that match.
Viking Raiders are not a thing. Eric's injured.
I'm saying like a bigger, I guess, regardless, like AOP, like a big. You can't put a bigger tag team in the match.
Oh, that's another thing.
Unless they put AOP, and that's probably the way. Maybe they put AOP and the Street Profits on the card, and getting that feud onto the WrestleMania card is by. Well, it's been terrible, I'm so because I love that group together because I think they could do so much, but they're not going to do anything.
Yeah, I digress.
But the idea, like, I want to see some people like put the New Day in there, Kofi in the ladder match at WrestleMania. You know, there's gonna be a nice spot, like, or what Kofi and Woods doing a spot, like, get some tag teams in there that are gonna be, as Matt Hardy would like to say, spot monkeys. Like, I want to see put Ricochet in there with Braun Strowman's not gonna be back, but like, give him some sort of tag team partner. That
but I also don't want like throwing in people either. Like, do your established people like the Creeds, like DIY, like New Day, like Street Profits.
Well, the Creeds, I would even argue that I love the Creeds, and let me get this straight. I like the Creeds a lot, and I think they have a great future, and I really want to see them do great things in WWE. I don't want them in the ladder match because I think that ladder match is not fitted for them right now. I want them to get built up as a good tag team, whether it's face or heel. I don't really care, but it's like the Steiner brothers. That's kind of what I want to say. So in that match, I want to see a bunch of people that should be in a ladder match. That's it. Steve, I know you're still on the line. Any last thoughts? Sorry, we kept you on.
That's all right. Two quick things. One, did anybody else think Muhammad Ali was already in the Hall of Fame?
I said that to Nick, and I was like, wasn't this a thing?
Like, yeah, wasn't he already there? And two, since they finally closed out this storyline, what do you think Cole did with the antlers?
Oh, I don't want to know. They're on I hope a mantle somewhere or on a mantle.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have asked that. I don't want to think about it now.
Yeah. Don't ask questions you already know the answers
so excited.
Yeah, that was a funny moment.
Again, and this kind of goes back to just like what we talked about on one of our first shows, like the commentary team of just like having McAfee and Cole. Like, he just has fun. They have fun with each other. That's what makes wrestling fun. It's not as much as I love The Rock, who claims he's making wrestling fun again and cool again. No, he says cool again, but it's the fun parts of it. It's those little things, the nuance that makes it fun. So, agreed. Steve, you've been great as always.
For the next caller, thank you, folks.
Thanks, Steven.
You, sir, are cut off.
Too much Coke.
Too much Coke. Someone's gonna soundbite that.
Sorry, Steven.
Make me meme. Well, with that being said, luckily no one got banished. No one made any. Well, when we have Steve calling in, it's hard. It's hard. Steve makes a lot of good points.
Besides this Norman Smiley comment.
Yeah. We have to still figure a good name for Steve, who's one of our.
We always yell Steven at him. I think.
I don't want to say like. I don't know, like there's got to be like a prop. No.
Steven, let us know in the comments down below how would you like to be.
Someone let us know.
He always has a new name. I yell Steven. I think it's great.
Socrates Steve, the Prophet. I feel like the Prophet sounds good, but it doesn't roll off the tongue. So we need something. But regardless, it's been a fun one. If anyone else wants to call in, let us know what you're thinking, but it seems like the lines are closed. That being said, any last thoughts? We're going into The Rock is going to show up tonight in Nashville. The People's Champ.
He's supposed to do another thing. He's supposed to do another song. What was it when he's at the? Oh, what was it? Why is that blinking? When he cut that promo and he sang the song and he yelled at he turned those like Hollywood Rock playing the guitar.
Yeah.
He's supposed to do that again tonight, and
I skimmed through because he's cutting another like 9-10 minute promo on like Instagram.
I can't watch him for 10 minutes on fucking
social media.
There we go.
Basically. But he cut another promo and basically he like now ran down. It's like, your crybaby mother. And like, I'm sorry. He's hysterical.
She slapped somebody. Was it MJF? they were feuding somewhere, and his mom, she's Cuban, so she's like not having that, and she slapped somebody. I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, but she slapped somebody, and she was wearing her Nightmare Family like blue like track jacket.
I didn't see that one, but like again, we're gonna see some confrontation going down tonight. I'm assuming, so it's exciting. But with that being said, we all got a nice little longer show than usual. 90 minutes. We made it 90 minutes. That's a long time.
Oh, that's a lot to listen to us.
Yeah, seriously.
God. Ugh.
But that being said, any final thoughts, Nicole?
No, I'm excited. Again, we're on the road to WrestleMania, where I think it's going to be an interesting couple weeks. I'm excited about this Mania. I think there's some fun builds. I'm excited to see where things go. I know we really didn't talk about the IC picture, but that's a thing that I have feelings about. But I'm excited. I think this is a fun Mania, and I was excited last year, but I feel like this is gonna be good. I'm excited. Again, wrestling, wrestling and the babies are like my number 3 things in life that makes me super happy. So
I'm excited. We're all excited. There's so much excitement going on in the Teodoro household here about wrestling
I
and
don't know
life.
if you can hear, but
right now.
Jackson snoring in the background, so he's super pumped.
I know. He's super excited for sleep. But that being said, so again, reiterating, please, we want you all to join us every Friday at 6.
Be regular.
Every Friday at 6. Feel free to subscribe,
Like, share,
comment, notify,
subscribe,
all that fun stuff.
Tell a friend. Bring 2 friends, and we'll be friends.
We'll all talk wrestling, life, whatever. It's about enjoying the week.
Head into the weekend, baby.
And heading into the weekend with some great wrestling. Hopefully great wrestling. Sometimes it's bad wrestling, but we all just love wrestling. So maybe we have a bad week of wrestling and we reminisce on the good times in wrestling. We can do that. That's the fun of this. Regardless, until next time, until next Friday at 6, you don't have to go home.
But you can't stay here. Bye.
Cheers.